Hi folks, I'm the Lost Mapper, and today we're doing day 7 of the 30-day map challenge. Today's theme is navigation. I'm gonna use this as an excuse to play around some more with the raster image marker and getting that associated with a label that we did in the analog map when I did the Fallout 76 map. So I'm going to do a little map of some businesses in the town that I live in and show you another way to do that raster image association. So I'm going to head into QGIS and I'm going to add an OpenStreetMap layer. And I'm going to use Command K to drop down into the locator bar and look for Mentone, Alabama, and wait for an entry to come up and navigate down to one of them. Okay, this is around about the area that I'm interested in. I guess I'll save a bookmark for now, even though I think I'm going to do something slightly different later. Okay, we've got our area, and I want to collect a few businesses. And I want to associate an image with them. In the analog episode for Fallout, we stored them on in a folder in the project and then referenced those. This time around, we're going to actually use what's called a Blob Column to store the binary data in our geo package and then display that on the map. So in order to do that, we're going to make a new layer. So head up to create layer, new geo package layer. And the database is going to be inside of our project. So day 7, I'm just going to call this Mentone. And the table name I'm going to call businesses. And it's going to be a point type. And then I want to, for each of the features, I want to store a name. And then I want to store an image. And for this image, we're going to change the type to blob, so a binary object. Make sure we add that and hit OK. Okay, so off camera, I went and downloaded a few images of businesses in the area. I just figured that was not a compelling thing to watch. And I've put them inside of an image directory inside of the project. Doesn't really matter where you store them, but it might be good just to keep all your files together. So let's start off by finding one of the locations and adding a point for it. So OpenStreetMap doesn't seem to be showing all the places. So what I'm going to do is actually use, let's use Google Maps as a reference. And I'm going to choose my businesses layer and toggle on editing and add a point. And this is the Mentone Inn. So the name will be Mentone Inn. And then for the image, I'm going to click on this little triple dot button and say embed file. And I'm going to navigate to that images directory and I'm going to select the image. So now that blob, that binary object, is sitting inside of the geopackage row for this particular feature. And I'm going to hit OK. And let's add a few more. Let's go add the Mentone Market. And then I'm going to save those changes and toggle off editing for now. And let's zoom back out to that bookmark I saved. Okay. So to start, I want to actually show labels for those businesses. So I'm going to turn off Google Maps again. I'm going to double click on my businesses layer. I'm going to head to labels and I'm going to choose single label and I'm going to go with name. And let's just see how that looks. Okay, so we've got the names there. Great. And I think what I'd actually like to do is rotate this map so that the road is sort of going down the middle of the map and then the images and the titles can be on either side of it. So I'm going down to the bottom right here and I'm just going to click the rotate a few times to get that road sort of straight and down the middle. And And I'm actually going to save a new bookmark called Mentone Rotated. Okay, so now I want to be able to move the labels and associate an image and have it show up next to the label. And this was kind of fudged this in the Fallout map, but I learned a better way to do this. So after the Fallout analog episode, I asked a question on the GIS Stack Exchange about a way to turn the labels coordinates into coordinates that I could put the image on. And somebody provided an answer. BugMeNot123 gave me the answer of using this make point. I then updated it and showed how I used it with the geometry generator and the raster image marker with some images. You can see screenshots of that. The other question I found was how to display images that are stored inside of a database as a blob. And the user, where's their name? Christoph had this solution, which you're using base 64. You're basically taking that binary blob and providing it to the raster image renderer as a base 64 bit of information. So we're going to use a combination of those two things. So let's head back to our map. And the first thing I want to do is actually move my labels and get them into position. We'll tweak it a little bit more in the future. And an important point here is you want to make sure that your layer is saved, because you're going to be, in order to map the locations of those labels to the features, you need an ID on it. And until you save it, the IDs do not have any values. So make sure you've saved it first. So let's try to move one. It's going to ask for the ID to use, the primary key. I'm going to choose feature ID, and then I can start to move these around a bit. Okay, so now we want to actually get an image next to the label. So there's two steps to this. We're going to go into the businesses layer. We're going to head to symbology, and we're going to, with marker selected, we're going to click this plus sign to add another symbol. And we're going to switch that type to geometry generator. And by default, it's going to use the actual geometry. So in this case, the point. But we wanted to use that little function. So let's copy that. And so when you move the label and it asks you what you want to associate it with, the feature ID, it's going to end up actually storing. It keeps a separate table inside of the QGIS project file, which is actually a zip file of multiple files, and stores those internally. So that's where auxiliary storage label position X and auxiliary storage label position Y come from. So that is good. And then that geometry generator has its own marker. And what we want to do is go down to its simple marker and change that to raster image marker. And then let's make the width 64. And this box here is what the actual image is. Now you could just manually go and find an image that you want to use. But if you head over to the right and click on this little button, you can actually provide an expression to provide the value for each feature. So we're going to click on edit, and we're going to use that answer here. So I'm going to use a slightly different version of this, but we're going to take base 64, and then those double lines there basically means to concatenate, to add together. And then we're going to use the image. And actually we need to use a method on it called toBase64 on the image. I don't know what the blob is actually stored as. And now you can see it's returning this base 64 plus all of this, what looks like gobbledygook, but that's actually the sort of binary representation of the image. So then I'm going to hit OK. And I believe if I hit OK on this now, I'm getting my images. And right now they're covering the labels a little bit. So what we can do, I'm going to press F7 to open up the panel for styling, just so I can see changes as they're happening. And I'm going to go to the raster image marker. The image gets anchored based on these anchor points. So what I actually want to use is the top point. And I think let's go with the left point, or maybe center would look good. All right, I think center isn't too bad. And now if I go and move those labels again, the image travels with them. So that's pretty cool. Something I forgot in the labels is to turn on callouts. So I'm heading into the labels, going to the callout tab and turning those on. And I'm going to have it actually be a little bit offset from both the feature and the label. So there's a little bit of a margin. And let's also head into the symbology and change the locations marker to a star, bump up the size of it, and let's make it some sort of orange, yellow, gold. Okay, so now I've got those. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I think I'm going to go back to the symbology, and I think I actually want to have these, instead of the image being on the center, I think it's going to be on the right. And then I can nudge that back a bit by using the X. I think 20 should be about good. Nope. Well, let's make it 24. Okay, I think that looks okay. So yeah, you can use the, the size, the offset, even the rotation and stuff, and the anchor points to fine tune where those labels are. And I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to create a new layout. And I think the only sort of interesting bit here that we'll want to do is I'm going to make this a portrait layout. I'm going to add my map. And because we rotated, okay, that doesn't look that great. Let's see if we zoom out a bit. Those are big. So let me I'm going to try to change the size of the raster image here, make it 32. It's very small on this map, but it looks a little bit better on this map. There we go. All right. So just kind of have to play with the size and zoom and of things to sort of get it to agree. All right. I think that looks all right for now. Adjust the size a little bit more. And the one thing I would like to add to sort of help people realize that this is rotated is a north arrow. So over here on the left, there's a north arrow button. Add this one in, and then let's browse the different arrows that are available. I think I'll use this one. And if I come down here, I'm going to change the fill color to black so that the N is visible on this map. And maybe just tighten this up into the corner. And then we'll give it a title. And we'll call this Mentone, Alabama businesses. And I think today I'm not going to use Futura. I'll use something a little more southerny. Let's try this Cochin. Bold. There we go. Head back up And pull this up and center it and stick it in the middle. Cool. And then let's also add some attribution. So add a text label at the bottom. I'm going to have that right and bottom. And we're going to say that the base map is OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap. And the images, most of these I think I got from Yelp. Cool. And let's also just put a border, a frame on this one. And I think that looks pretty decent. We can all spend our own time tweaking it, messing with the colors, messing with the alignment and the sizing of things. But this shows you how to get images next to the labels of locations in your map. See you next time.